Life is such a big game, a battle that just can't be won. Life is such a long game, and we've only just begun. Life is such a hard game, yes, challenge so fun. Life level
1. Take a deep breath. Count to 10.
That's awesome.
All right, we'll go ahead. Hello, Colten.
Hi, buddy.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you coming all the way down here and spending some time with me on a Saturday. Or no, Sunday. Sorry.
It is Sunday, yeah.
On a Sunday, God's Day, and on your birthday, nonetheless. So, happy birthday.
Thank you, yeah.
I don't want to ask how old you are, but you don't look a day over 25.
I feel about 25.
I actually got you something, too. Here.
Oh, sweet.
I want you to open it up. Open it up on the podcast so we can't do a take 2.
Okay.
I hope you like it. This spoiler is a book, but it's one of the few books that have really changed my life. You can just throw that. Quit littering,
that's
bro.
Awesome. Oh. No, that's great. I've heard a lot of really good things about Dave Ramsey.
Have you read this one?
I've not read this one. No.
Okay, good. Well, bummer. I wish you'd read it earlier. I wish I had read it a decade ago.
Yeah.
I guess it came out in 2013, so I wish I had read it 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's great. It changed my financial life drastically, which in return changed my overall life a lot. Last year, I paid off all of my student loans. I paid off a good portion of Kristen's student loans. I don't have any credit card debt.
Wow.
And this year, we're planning on paying about the same amount towards debt as well.
That's impressive. That's
yeah.
awesome. Well, thank you, man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, you were telling me that you wanted to start working on your student loans, and I'd actually like to start helping you out with that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You can just set that to the side. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I've heard really, really good things about him.
Good, yeah. And it's a fun read. It's really, really simple. He breaks everything up into what he calls baby steps. And I was joking around the other day that it's almost like a children's book for adults. Yeah. But it's got a lot of really, really good content in there. So, but
sweet. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, I think like you said, like if your financial health is as good as your physical health, it's going to be very beneficial, which is something like you and I obviously focus on a lot is physical health. But
oh yeah, for sure. Well, not just physical, but mental and psychological health. That's one thing I wanted to communicate with you about, and we were talking about on the way over here. You're talking about serotonin levels.
Yeah.
I used to joke around in college because we go back a ways. I used to joke around that you were my guardian angel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I still believe that to be true on occasion, but I think part of the reason is you just give off this wonderful, fun personality that is welcoming to anybody, including strangers. Despite the first time we met, you had your arms crossed and you were like really big and buff because you were a wrestler right out of high school.
Right, yeah.
And no one was coming up and talking to you because we went to a nerdy art school. So despite that turn off in body language, yeah, you are an angel, and I appreciate it. You got those pretty blue eyes.
They're soul sucking. No, I appreciate. It's funny you say that because I really appreciate that. But the amount of random conversations I have with strangers is insane. Like you said, I don't know if it's something with my face or the aura or whatever that I give off or energy level that I give off, but yeah, it's even like in the locker room in 24-hour fitness, like people just strike up conversation with me.
Like, bro, I'm naked. No, that's great. I feel like Kristen has that same kind of way about her. Like she's got that approachable face, and sometimes she gets annoyed about it. I was like, babe, that annoyance doesn't match your face. You need to cut it out.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But no, it's great. It's wonderful having friends that are not just your friends, like you're only in this like little clique together and like you don't want anything to do with the outside world. It's nice having friends that are cultured and accepting of other people's ways of life without being super judgmental. And I feel like that's the way with you for sure. We were talking about traveling this morning.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I think traveling changes people. Like I think it just like you can almost think of America as one of those little tight knit social bubbles you were just talking about, and man, not leaving, not traveling, especially like you and I both grew up in small towns, but a lot of people don't even leave that small town, and it's unfortunate just because of how much you gain from accepting other people and being in somebody else's home country versus everybody just like being in America, and that's your one viewpoint on life.
Yeah, and you were talking about how it's the United States as like this one bubble, but really that's like the giant bubble with a whole bunch of little mini bubbles inside of it. Like New York City is completely different than, you know, the middle of Nebraska,
right? Exactly.
where you came from, and like the eastern plains of Colorado where I came from.
Yeah.
So it's interesting seeing all the different aspects. But yeah, someday, hopefully with a good financial plan, I'll be able to travel with my children and take them places. And one thing that I liked that we were talking about this morning is I don't want to take them. I mean, I do want to take them to places such as Disney World and those sorts of things. I do want them to experience that. But more than that, I want to go to the other side of the spectrum and to take them to places where they will easily be able to tell that they have it pretty good in comparison to other like third world countries in the world. So I was thinking India. I have one of Kristen's cousins spent a whole year in India, and he was talking about it. I've read a few spiritual books, and they always talk about India. That's on my map. Certain parts of China I'd like to go to, not right now.
Yeah.
And then I mean Japan is great. It's like it's doing really well economically, but I'd like to go to Japan as well. I just want to travel eventually.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's huge. Like, I'm a little sad that it took me until I was 27 to leave the country the first time. But I also, it was just like from even just like Italy, like Europe, it still changes your perspective. Like the things that we take for granted, like space. Every shower in Italy is small. Like my shoulders are like touching side to side of the shower and things like that. Or even just like washer and dryer. Most places don't have dryers.
Oh, that's a good point.
So like the convenience factor, is just not there, and you just take all those little things for granted. And then like going to India, like I did, it just completely flipped my world upside down again. Seeing, just it's not as developed city, and having the just the sheer amount of people and inconveniences that they have as a whole is pretty crazy.
Very nice. Can you pull your mic over this way just a little bit? I'm looking at the levels. And if you can get it like right in front of your face so you're talking right into it. Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Cool.
And if you need to turn it so we're not like looking out of the corner of our eyes, just staring at each other peripherally.
Right.
Like,
How's that?
That's a hot chick that I want to talk to, but I don't have the guts to do it.
Right.
What was you stayed about a week in India, or was it 2 weeks?
It was 2 weeks, yeah.
And what was your favorite part, would you say?
Honestly, it was the people. They were some of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life. And the amount of respect that they have for each other, and I got to visit a bunch of different temples. Like, it went to a Shiva temple and Ganesha and a Krishna temple. A bunch of them, and like just the amount of respect that they have for things outside of themselves is really cool.
Yeah, I imagine. The Hare Krishnas have some pretty cool ideas. Well, I mean, of course, the Hindus with Krishna and Shiva, they've got some wonderful spiritual ideas as well.
Right.
I tried to make my way through a book called the Bhagavad Gita.
Okay.
But because it's translated from Hindu to, is it Hindu? Is that the language? I don't even know. To English. The whole first half of the book was just the author trying to explain certain concepts so that we as people from the United States would understand certain parts of the book, because there's a whole language gap there, not just because it's two different languages, but because there's understandings that they have about certain things compared to the way that we have about certain things.
Yeah, totally.
And so I made it through that whole translation, and once I got to the actual book itself, I didn't get very far. Sadly. Yeah, it's not a. I wouldn't say that it's a difficult read, but it's written like a movie script almost.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I think it's Krishna, and he's talking to Arjuna, and they're the two main characters, and they're basically going back and forth about. Arjuna's kind of like saying like I don't want to fight these people. These are people that I grew up with, and Krishna's basically like, no, you gotta go to war, bro. You gotta fight. Like just totally antagonizing this. What led to I don't know, many people dying. Basically.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to go to India, and it's sad that I didn't discover Indian food until like the age of 22 because they've got some really good stuff.
Man. Yeah.
Despite the way it looks.
Yeah, it was honestly some of the best food I've ever eaten was in India. Like, and it's much different there than it is here. Just like the amount of spices, like they tune a lot of stuff out, like tone it down in America a ton. But it is hotter over there, hot spicy, but a lot of it isn't. It's just like a lot of spices versus here. Like it's like not really bland here. Like I love Indian food, but it's just not this sheer amount of spices packed into their dishes that is there.
I feel like we and I say we as in people that live in the United States, I feel like a lot of restaurants here do bland everything down. Like you said, there's so much space here, and they want to feed people across this giant land. So you, in a more compact area, one restaurant can feed a higher population. But when you have everyone so spread out here in the States, you need multiple of those restaurants. That's how you get the chain restaurants.
Right. Yeah.
And to find a really good 5-star restaurant that is focused strictly on one type of food, like just Italian.
Yeah.
And they're located in one spot in the United States, and they work their ass off. They're living paycheck to paycheck, which really sucks for everyone right now in the restaurant business.
Yeah.
That is something that should very much be appreciated by people in the United States, I feel, because they're few and far between. There's not a lot of them.
Yeah, there really isn't. I mean, yeah, and it, like you said, it sucks that those are the ones that are suffering through everything that we're going through right now, where the chains survive, because there's so many of them, and they have they're not living paycheck to paycheck, even for the restaurant, and paying rent like they do for all those chains.
Yeah, and I was thinking about American food. It's sad what America is known for when it comes to food. Like you think of Italy, you think really good pasta. You think of Japan, you think really good sushi.
Right.
When you think of America, you think hot dogs.
Yeah, like burgers.
All of the hot dogs and burgers. You think about the parts of animals that nobody wants to eat alone, so they just blend them all together.
Make a patty or a tube out of it.
Yeah. It's sad. And we're aware, all of you judgmental people in Europe. But no, I was looking at it was a steak sauce bottle the other day. I just pulled it out of the fridge and I was looking at it, and it was almost empty, and I was thinking, I bought this from a store. It'd be nice if I could go straight to the source of whoever made this specific steak sauce and just give them my money rather than paying the middleman.
Totally.
And supporting local businesses. I feel like that's very, very important now more than ever before.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been to one, but since COVID. But that's why I really like farmers markets. Like
dude, that's so crazy that you just said that, because I was thinking the same thing. I'd like to start going to farmers markets
are amazing. I've even gotten like some really like small batch like whiskeys and olive oils and things like that at farmers markets, and they've all been amazing.
Whiskeys.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was I don't even know what farmers market it was. But yeah, it was great. Yeah, they had 3 different kinds of whiskeys that they had made, but yeah, it's all very small batch. They don't sell it through liquor stores or anything like that. It's just through farmers markets.
Mm-hmm. I mean, imagine how much space you need just to make one barrel of whiskey.
Right.
And yeah, if you can make 1 barrel, you're not going to be able to drink all that by yourself.
Yeah,
I mean, you might be able to.
Yeah.
But I certainly hope not, especially if you want to keep creating the whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah. yeah, farmers markets are great, and I've only been to, you know what? I actually don't know if I've ever been to a farmer's market. I'm thinking of a flea market, which is probably the same thing, just for crap instead of the good food. But, yeah, I'd like to start doing that for sure. It's very strange right now because there's so much encouragement of this social distancing for obvious reasons. Maybe someday.
Yeah, I was in Boulder yesterday, and the farmers market was happening yesterday, so I know they're still happening. But I don't know if it's going to be the same. It's obviously not going to be the same experience, but I don't know if it's going to have the same, like people coming to sell goods and the same like quality and quantity of vegetables that it would normally have.
And I have so many good friends that are really good at cooking, and it's nice to encourage them to, you know, try to do that sort of thing, but I don't think those people really make money off of that stuff. I think it's just a hobby.
It is, yeah. That's unfortunate, especially like when they're really talented at it.
Like my buddy makes homemade beef jerky.
Oh,
absolutely amazing! It's the best beef jerky I've ever had. But he hasn't done it in probably like 8 months or so, and in order for him to make, you know, just a small package of beef jerky, it takes a lot of work. I think he said he takes 4 pounds of beef and he's able to turn that into 1 pound of beef jerky because all of the moisture gets sucked out of it, and that's where all the weight is.
That's crazy. I didn't think it'd be that much of a.
I know.
Yeah.
But he's gonna teach me how to do it, and hopefully I'll be able to start making my own beef jerky.
Yeah. Does he use a dehydrator, or does he? I know some people have like baked it. Like there's different ways to make it, but
you know, he's one of those guys that whenever there's a new kitchen gadget, he's at least looking into it, if not definitely investing. I can't remember if he has a dehydrator or not. I would assume he does. But I think at one point in time he did say that you could do it in the oven, and I don't see why you can't.
Right.
The tools are all the same.
Yeah, just low, slow.
Yeah.
Get all the moisture out instead of cooking it.
So, yeah, maybe someday I can convince him to just make me a batch. But I was telling him if he were to, I don't know, make just 3 pounds of it, put it in like quarter-pound bags, he could probably sell each of those for, you know, $20 to $30. Just a quarter-pound bag of beef jerky. Yeah, and it's so good. There's no nitrates in it. There's no preservatives. There's no artificial food coloring. You know, it's healthy too. That's another good aspect. It may be more expensive to go to a farmer's market and buy the food there. Potentially, I don't even know. Like I said, I've never been. But, it may be more expensive to buy that good healthy organic food, but it's gonna save you money in the long run when it comes to medical bills.
Oh, totally.
Hopefully it will.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no guarantee.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know if we obviously are seeing the repercussions of the current, especially American diet and the way that we process our food, but I still don't think it's to the extent that we'll see when we get older. Because I think it's getting worse, and it's continuing to get worse as we mass produce and make the convenience factor again go up. I think when we're older, we'll see a bigger detriment or a bigger effect than even what our parents will see.
That's interesting, because I've thought about that too. I've been trying to think more positively lately, but yes, I've thought about that same thing. I guess the way that I was thinking about it is I'm hoping that the gain in knowledge that people will be getting will slowly shift that so it won't be going up for much longer.
Yeah.
Because everyone's aware of, well, I mean, most people are aware now of the keto diet and how important healthy fats are, rather than saying no fats at all. Because whenever they take out fat, they replace it with sugar.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot more products coming out now that are keto friendly. And like cereals, breakfast cereals. Dude, the cereal that we used to eat, those crappy shavings that they would just scrape off of the cereal factory floor and put in a box for us to eat. Yeah. That was just sugar.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
It's puff sugar.
And even when it was something healthy, like what was the cereal that I kind of liked for a while? I think it was like grape nuts or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
It was those little, it tasted like dirt.
Yeah, it really did.
The reason why I liked it so much is because I was pouring a pound of sugar on top of it.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, I think there's more awareness from people nowadays of healthy eating, I suppose.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think, it's I think the unfortunate piece is that it to me it's not, like kind of you talked about, it's not expensive to eat healthier. It seems like it is a lot of times, and it seems like it's so many people go out and buy a bunch of vegetables and they get old by the time they go to eat them. So then they associate it poorly with all the eating healthy is expensive, but it's really not. Like there's so many efficient ways to buy food and eat healthy that are, one, going to save you money in the long run, and two, really aren't that expensive.
Okay, I believe you, because you think about like how much a fast food burger costs,
right?
And it's a dollar for a little patty, it's probably not even a quarter pound. And yeah, it doesn't have any of the nutrients and all that in there. But I remember when I would eat those as a kid, even as a kid, I didn't find those filling.
Right.
Like I would end up eating 2 Big Macs and a large fry and sucking down a giant Coca-Cola.
Right.
And that was one meal. Now, if I cook a pound of beef and I don't have the bun and I don't have the fake cheese that they have on there and all that other crap, if I just eat the beef with some spices, I feel pretty good after eating, 3/4 of a pound.
Right.
It's definitely pretty filling. And I feel like there's all sorts of science that's done to like trying to trick your brain into wanting more.
Right.
So even when you are full, you still think you need more when it comes to that kind of stuff. I don't get that when it's homemade patties. But.
Right. Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah. There's you see it with chips and stuff like that too. There's actual like the right combination of starches and fats and potato chips that trigger your brain to make you want to eat. Same with popcorn. Popcorn's one of those where you notice yourself continuing to eat it, and it's because it's triggering that effect in your brain.
Oh yeah, I was doing that yesterday at a friend's birthday party. So many birthdays in August, but
but what I do think is crazy too is, like you mentioned, like a little cheeseburger is $1. But I think the way that I think about money and calories is probably a little different, because I think about or even like the filling piece of it, aspect of it too. Like if you eat a pound of chicken breast, it's like 450 calories, and a pound is a lot. If you eat the same amount of meat in $1 cheeseburgers, that's like 1,600 calories and less filling and less nutritious.
Oh, dang.
But like a pound of chicken is filling, a pound of beef is filling, especially with other veggies that like have a lot of fiber that also keep you full.
Oh, hell yeah. So as far as diet nutrition goes, are you on anything currently?
Just intermittent fasting mostly. I'm just started doing like a subscription box for food, just because I was getting tired of I was getting tired of making a bulk meal and having it for the entire week. So yeah, it is convenient. I'm only getting what I need when I need it, and it's also mixing it up. I love food, and I'm a very foodie person. Like going out to a restaurant and I'll try very foodie things. But when it's me cooking for myself, I just make bulk and I take the easy, like lazy approach. But yeah, it is for convenience. Instead of cooking for a couple hours every night, it's cook once on Sunday and then eat it. But I enjoy cooking, so it's been nice going down this route again and cooking every single night. And with intermittent fasting, I only cook once a day anyway, so it's really not that big of an inconvenience.
That's a good point. When I was doing the bulk preparation on like Sunday nights, and I'd make it for the entire week, it was just chicken and some sides. I can't even remember what, but I was making so much chicken in one day, and then trying to have it last for 7 without freezing it. I didn't think about freezing it. And chicken's already kind of, I don't know, for me anyway, it always seems to come out dry as it is. And so the next day it's just going to be more dry than that.
Right.
And the next day it's going to be even more dry. And by Wednesday, I was eating like 5 of these chicken breasts every single day. And so by Wednesday, not only was the taste not there, but my desire to eat wasn't there either.
Yeah.
So it was just a horrible mixture of me like trying to force down this dead bird that just didn't have any flavor to it really, and
Right.
and it was kind of rubbery. It felt like, and also dry. Yeah, that was a rough time, but it was worth it in the long run. I learned a lesson. If I were to reintroduce a diet like that again, I think I'd have to at least split it up into 2 preparation days
Totally.
a week, which is difficult because if you work a regular Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 job, how are you going to prepare 4 days worth of meals on Wednesday night?
Right. So what I was doing before I signed up again for the subscription is I was doing a lot of research around like Mediterranean diets because they're supposed to be the healthiest just with the amount of fiber you get, and actually they eat a lot less protein than we eat, which has been shown to like help us with longevity, brain health, all that kind of stuff, is to not have as much protein in our diets.
Really?
Yeah, like honestly, we'd probably only need like 60 grams of protein a day, where I remember especially when I was in crazy shape and super, super lean, I was eating like 180 grams, if not more. Or like you said, like you were trying to choke down 5 chicken breasts in a day.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But yeah, so they've seen a lot of increase in like longevity and like overall health by decreasing the amount of protein.
Replacing it with fats?
Fats and healthy carbs.
Okay, I'm trying to think of what the Mediterraneans eat. They probably eat a lot of oils and
Yeah, so it's
certainly.
a lot of healthy oils, but a lot like all of their carbs are also like really high in fiber, like couscous and lentils and things like that. And then what I would do is I would make big batches of couscous and lentils and that, and then it only takes like 15 minutes or so, but like make a salmon fillet. So I was also doing mostly fish.
Yeah, fish, that's a good one, but that's one of those ones too where if you do a mass preparation for the week, you're going to hate it day 2.
Yeah, you will hate it day 2
It's
on that
disgusting.
one for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, if I could, man, I would do sushi every day. But
Oh yeah,
Kristen
I love sushi.
and I, we really cut back on the sushi. 1, because of the whole finance thing that we were talking about at the beginning. But 2, we're fishing the oceans dry, and I say we as in the human race, like we're all doing it.
Right.
So, and I've even heard with factory farmed fish, the amount of fish that it takes to feed those fish doesn't make up for the amount of weight and fish that you're going to be getting out of it.
Oh, interesting.
So even though we're feeding them the fish that we probably wouldn't eat as humans, just for whatever reason, there's still great source of fish. We're just giving it to these other fish and barely getting any return on it.
Interesting. I didn't realize that, huh?
Yeah, and which is sad because I always thought, well, maybe in the future there'll be a way that they could farm tuna. Tuna. I don't know. I don't even know. Albacore tuna, is that fresh caught?
I think some are. Yeah, I don't know.
Can they farm tuna? I know that those big tunas that they catch in the ocean that are worth like $1 million.
Yeah.
There's no way that they're ever going to be able to farm those.
No, yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't know. I guess because like I worked on that fish farm and it was just trout. So I think salmon and trout you can, but I don't think you could tuna really.
I forgot you worked on a fish farm.
Yeah,
dude, talk about that a little bit.
It was interesting. We basically we had raised the fish from hatchlings all the way up to like pretty big sized trout, and we did rainbow trout. But the process was really cool because we had these 3 little pools. They're just kind of like little whirlpool bins, and then that's where they hatch. So they instantly hatch. Or as soon as they hatch, they start instantly swimming against the stream, and you just feed them through there until they get to a certain size and get strong enough. And then we had this really cool tiered system. We called them raceways, but the small fish are at the top, and then as the tiers go down, the fish get bigger and bigger and bigger. And it was that way so that if a little guy jumped over and got ate, it wasn't a big deal. But if a big guy
Not
jumped
for you.
up, yeah, that's a good point. Well, you didn't last very long. But a big guy couldn't jump up and eat all of the little trout.
Yeah.
So
That's great. So there wasn't any manual moving. You just let them kind of do their thing.
no, we did have to do some manual moving. So once they got to the biggest raceway, that was the ones that we would ship to Las Vegas or California. So it was people would buy like a ton of trout, and we had these refrigeration trucks that also had like a whirlpool in them, so that the trout could swim the entire time that they were traveling from here to Vegas or California.
Oh, dude. Could you imagine if we were on that road trip, we were running on like a treadmill or something?
Right, exactly. Yeah, just swimming the entire
trip. At least getting some kind of exercise.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was some really cool, like, I mean, growing up where we did, you learn how to work, and that was another one of those things that just taught me work ethic and taught me some really cool life work lessons.
That's one thing that this book really emphasizes on is you gotta work for your money. You can't just charge everything to a credit card, man. It's gonna come to bite you in the ass.
It will, yeah.
Well, this fish farm, was this located in Nebraska?
Yeah.
And you guys would ship to California and Las Vegas and I'm sure Denver too, probably.
Yeah, it was some places in Colorado. It was mostly to like country clubs and things like that. So and then also some reservoirs where like they didn't have a natural supply of fish, so we would ship them out there as well.
I vaguely remember you telling me a story. I mean, we've known each other for how long now?
Since 2007? Yeah.
Yeah, so 13 years.
Yeah.
We've known each other a long time. I vaguely remember you telling me a story about working at a fish farm and you had to dip your arms and your whole body fell in or something. But anyway, you probably came home smelling like fish all the time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, honestly, the clothes I would wear to work, I ended up throwing away after like I left for college because like they just smelled like fish. I could not get the smell, no matter how much I washed. But yeah, we even like wearing waders, like when we were actually in the races with the fish, we wore waders and things like that. But still, like if one little hole gets in there, all that fish smell just, yeah.
Good thing you're not in bear country.
Yeah, no joke.
Dang, that's the second podcast in a row that I've mentioned bears. Like, I don't have a phobia of bears. I mean, I would have a phobia if there was a bear right in front of me.
Oh, totally.
I'm not brave or anything. But yeah, that's just kind of funny. Yeah, I actually don't know what to call these podcasts. Maybe you could help me out because you're a creative individual. I've been saying the word interview a lot.
Yeah.
But I hate that term because I don't know. I feel like I end up doing most of the talking. That's not the way that an interview process works. Plus, I don't want it to sound like that's the intention. Like you and I are just communicating and having a good time and chatting.
Yeah. I wouldn't even like. It doesn't have an interview feel at all to me. I don't know. I'll give that one some thought.
Because I was walking the dogs and I was thinking, it's not like work. And an interview sounds like work. It's more like playtime, but I can't call it playtime. That would just be weird.
Playtime session with Colten Janssen.
Oh, dang. I hate to do this, but this is the second podcast in a row that I've had to do this, but I've got to pee again, man. I was trying to get hydrated this morning because I felt so brain dead. I've been waking up early for the past week, and I was trying to hydrate and I ended up overdoing it, so I'm gonna take a piss break. You could take a piss break too. Feel free. You're not trapped here or anything.
Yeah, perfect.
But we'll be back in a little bit. All right. Bye. Okay, and I'm back. I hate jump cuts, man. Do you have any birthday plans?
Not really. I think around 4, she's gonna get some drinks with some people. That's about it. Yeah, I got most of the birthday fun was the last couple days, doing like the sunrise hike and things like that.
Yeah,
it was an awesome way to spend a birthday.
Yeah, I miss hiking a bunch, dude. Like I said, hiking with kids is great. I love it. It takes more. Well, right. Anything with kids just takes more energy or effort or planning, I suppose, is really what it comes down to.
Yeah, totally.
So, who all went on the hike with you? I mean, I try not to mention names, but like,
my girlfriend and then a couple of friends that I met through work.
Yeah.
And yeah, we decided like essentially the day before that we were gonna do a hike, but we decided the day before to do a sunrise one instead, which is something I've never done before, which was really cool.
Were you wearing masks?
Yes.
Oh, really? Well, I was expecting to say no, and I was going to be like, you piece of shit.
We brought them, like, we were on the trail by ourselves for almost the entire hike, but coming back down, by the time we were coming back down, the trail was getting really packed. So we wanted to make sure that we were, like, respecting everybody else, and so
yeah. It's weird. It's weird because that's mostly why I wear the mask, is just out of obligation for other people. It's not necessarily
right
to protect me or my direct family, because more than likely we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's the elderly and the others. I really don't want to talk about that. I feel kind of shitty that I brought it up, but I thought I'd make for a decent joke. So sunrise hike, this just means that you just started before sunrise?
Yeah, we got to our destination right as sunrise hit.
Okay, good. I was kind of hoping that's what you were going to say, because that one time I hiked that 14er,
right.
Our plan was to get to the top before sunrise, and we made it up there with probably about 15 minutes to spare before the sun came up, and I set up my GoPro, and I honestly couldn't tell exactly where the sun was going to come up. It was so well lit at that point. So I just kind of pointed at this one spot in the mountains, and I ended up getting a time lapse. And I was thinking, as I was sitting there, I was like, I was looking at where the camera was pointing, was a GoPro, and I was looking at where the sun was rising, and I was like, shit, we did all of this, and I didn't even get a good recording of the sun rising. And I checked it probably 6 months later. I looked at the footage.
Yeah.
I just gave up on it. I was like, fuck it. That was not a fun experience. I'll get into that. But I was like, I'm not even gonna look at the footage. And finally one day I was just like, you know what? I might as well just take a look at it. I captured the sun perfectly.
Really?
It's like follows the rules of third. I couldn't have set up the camera better. But yeah, that hike was rough because it was in late September. We're hiking a 14er, which already isn't easy.
Yeah, definitely not.
We woke up at like 3:30 or 3:45 in the morning, and we started hiking, I think, around 4. We got to the top, and it's freezing cold, and you can only carry so much warm equipment up with you.
Right.
We get to the top, and we start. I think there was like this rock wall that was built.
Yeah, those little wind barriers.
Yeah, a little barrier thing, and we kind of huddled in that. We were still clothed. It would have been a lot warmer if we all just got naked. It was me and my cousin and another guy. So it was me and two guys. But yeah, we were just freezing. And the buddy that had this idea, because he wanted to get one more 14er in, that was the summer that I hiked, I think like 5 or 6, maybe even 7 14ers. He whipped out this emergency blanket. You know what an emergency blanket is? It's just foil. It's just like foil paper.
Exactly.
I was like, what the fuck is this? We were so pissed, but that's one of those fun times that I was talking about where it's a struggle.
Right.
And maybe the hangover from that struggle lasts a good 6 months before you finally look back at the footage, and then you realize, oh wow, that was
a cool experience.
That was worth it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of people that they're glad they did one 14er, but they're like, that's not for me. I love them. Like you said, like the way up is never easy. It's hard. Usually it's cold and windy, but man, even just summiting and seeing all of Colorado it's breathtaking. Like that's something that a lot of people honestly don't see. They don't see the world from that perspective, which
is sad because we live right next door to 55 14ers or something like that. But if you live in the area or even a few miles outside of the area, a few hours anyway,
right?
It's not difficult to just plan a day to go up to up to the top of a 14er, and I'm talking for everybody. There's some that you can drive up to.
Oh, totally, yeah. And
so even if you probably won't get that satisfaction of like, I conquered this 14er, and if you do, good on you, man. But you can at least still get to the top, and like you said, see forever. It seems like It's so great.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Unless it's a really cloudy day because you're above the clouds.
Yeah,
those are interesting in another way because you actually experience like the moment where you're walking through the clouds.
Yeah.
There's before where you can kind of see everything, and there's like this ceiling like right above your head.
Yeah.
This beautiful fluffy cotton candy looking ceiling, and then you walk through it and you get above, and it's just amazing, especially on a really, really cloudy day where it's just clouds all around you. You almost feel like you're in heaven.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a sight where no matter how well I describe it, it's not gonna get across unless you've done it before.
Yeah, definitely.
So
yeah, no, it's breathtaking. Yeah, every time I get to the top, I'm just blown away, even though I've seen it a bunch of times already.
How many 14ers have you hiked?
I think I'm at 7 or 8.
Okay.
One of them felt like cheating though. Like I did the Calibron loop, where you summit the 14ers in a day. Like it didn't get the satisfaction of going peak to peak. Like the first one was a good climb, and then the last one was a good climb. But the two in the middle, it was like walking across a ridgeway, and then up a little bit, and you're like, okay, here's another 14er.
Yeah, there's some that don't technically qualify either. It has to go down a certain altitude before it goes.
I think you have to has to be 3,000 feet of elevation gain to actually count. But there's a lot of them that are on that list of 54 or whatever that don't get 3,000 feet of elevation.
Yeah, and I you know what I say to that? I say, fuck it, dude. I say, fuck it. You didn't cheat.
Right.
You got to the top of 4 fucking mountains. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Unless you're doing it in some weird competition where you're trying to earn a ribbon or a trophy. Yeah, screw it, dude. We're doing it for I don't know about you, but I'm doing it for my own, benefit of being able to capture that experience.
Totally.
So if you have to drive to the top, of Pikes Peak or wherever, and that's the only way that you can get up there, yeah, go for it, man. Don't ever let anyone tell you that you're cheating when it comes to something like that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
So, I remember the first 14er I hiked. I personally have never found, I'm not bragging, I'm just saying it for what it is. I personally have never found 14ers that difficult. I never suffered from altitude sickness.
Yep.
The hardest part for me was always the come down.
The
coming down is rough, and the worst part was not necessarily on my legs or muscle cramps or anything like that. It was on my toes, because my toes were just hitting the front of my shoes.
Totally.
Every step. So 14ers weren't really that difficult. On my first one, it's funny how, just like children, when you're doing something new for the first time, people tend to over prepare.
Right. I
ended up gathering some supplies. I was like, okay, I'm going to need a lot of water. So I put a lot of water bottles in my backpack. And then I was thinking, I'm going to need some snacks. And I was like, what can I eat? And I wasn't very good with the whole culinary arts side of things. And I also wasn't good at meal prep from what we've discussed earlier.
Right.
So I just threw a giant 7-pound bag of raisins. And I get to the top. I had probably eaten a handful of raisins, and I'm trying to pawn off these raisins to everybody up there. I'm like, hey, dude, you want some raisins? You want some raisins?
Want some raisins?
Nobody wants some fucking raisins. This wasn't even during a world pandemic. Can you just take some raisins, please? I've got 7 pounds.
That's funny. What's interesting is even on a normal hike, but even on 14ers, I hardly drink any water, and I don't eat anything until I'm at the top.
You don't eat? Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Now fasting's really popular. That's probably actually what I would do as well. I'm so used to fasting until 4 p.m.
Right.
That wouldn't be that big of a deal. That's actually a really good idea. At the time, I wasn't aware of it.
Right. Yeah, and I don't feel like I'm getting hypoglycemic or lightheaded or anything like that. Maybe it's just because my body's so used to fasting now. But yeah, usually I get all the way up to the top before I even really drink water, even because I don't know. I'm typically pretty well hydrated, but it's kind of like when you're running and drinking. I don't like doing that either. For longer distance runs and things like that.
So in preparation for this podcast, I drank a bunch of water. What would your preparation be for, say a 14er or a run or something, hydration wise?
I don't know if I really think about it, honestly.
You just kind of drink when you want to drink?
Yeah, I drink when I'm thirsty.
Okay. But I mean, if you were really thirsty in the middle of a run, you'd stop and take a drink, right?
Depending on how much longer I had to go.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So even with a 14er, it's easy because you just have the Camelback sip straw. But yeah, with a run, I don't when I was training for that marathon, I don't bring water with me when I run.
Oh, that's a good segue. You were training for a marathon.
Yeah.
I saw that you ran 13 something miles.
Yeah, a little over 13.
And then is that when coronavirus hit?
Yeah. Yeah, so
and they had to cancel all of the marathons.
Right. Well, and what's unfortunate too, I mean, I still want to do it. A marathon's one of my bucket list items, but they didn't cancel and refund. They just postponed it. so I have to run next year.
Better start training again.
Exactly.
Hope work from home was still keeping you motivated to stay in shape.
But no, it was getting up to that mileage, just like half marathon mileage. After that, I felt like I could have ran the rest of the marathon. Like,
really?
yeah, like, and
that's crazy. You're only halfway.
yeah. But I like, you just get into like a flow, kind of like you do with like work, and it's almost like you just accept the fact that you're going to be running for the rest of your life. Even though it's only 13 more miles, it's just like, this is my life now, is running.
No, that's great, man. Oh, shit. I kind of wish I had gotten you another book for your birthday. Maybe I'll get that for you for your half birthday or your quarter birthday. Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because, I mean, it's easy to think that halfway through. I'm not saying that you couldn't do it. I love your positivity, but it's always fun to look at it from the other side too. That's a good exercise, I feel. It's easy to think, oh, I'm halfway done and I still got all this energy, but there is going to be a moment where you crash. There's always going to be a moment where you crash. Now with ultra marathoners, it's interesting hearing their perspective of things because they get to a point where they just want to quit everything, like not just running, but and it usually happens. I think they say the average is like around 70 miles.
Wow.
Around 70 miles of running. That's when they're like, okay, now I want to give up.
Right.
Like, how crazy is that? That's already 3 marathons, basically.
Yeah.
Or almost, anyway. Yeah, that's interesting. But have you heard of David Goggins?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Have you read his book or heard of his book, Can't Hurt Me?
Yes, I think I have actually.
That's a really good book, and what's sad is I can't find my copy anywhere else. I'd lend it to you, but
Right, isn't that the one you did lend me? It's the
do you have it?
I think I have it, right? Isn't it? That's why
I've been looking for that this whole week.
you gave it to me to read.
Oh, that explains it. Okay.
Yeah. What's crazy is I was actually really worried because it was in my truck when it got stolen. But that was one of the things they left in my truck is that book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's sitting on my nightstand, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to talk to you about your stolen truck, too.
That's awesome. I couldn't remember his name, but then as soon as you said the title, I was like, oh, that's the book that you lent me.
Yeah. Well, and actually, before we move on to your truck, don't just read that book. Figure out a way to get the audiobook. I don't listen to audiobooks, so I don't have like a Kindle. I don't have Audible or anything like that. Maybe they're willing to sponsor. But yeah, figure out a way to get the audiobook because in between each chapter, David Goggins, this is what I was told. He does a podcast sort of thing in between each chapter about the previous chapter.
Okay.
So it's more than just an audiobook.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely listen to that. Now, I remember the day you told me you lost your truck. I was working in the garage on a wood project. And I don't like to take breaks during my wood projects, just like you don't like to stop while running.
Yeah.
But once I read your text, I was like, okay, I gotta sit down and figure out a way to message, like a good message to send him. And so I sat down on the porch and I was absorbing the sun rays and I sent you a message and I felt so bad because you were so nonchalant about it. Once again, you had that wonderful positive attitude, and I'm just reading it. I'm overreading a text message, but you said, yeah, my truck got stolen, so we can't hang out or whatever. I'm sorry. I wish we could or something like that. And I don't even remember what I sent you, but then yes, you told me some more, and it was pretty crazy. So I'll let you take it.
Yeah, no, it was pretty crazy, and honestly, like I was a little surprised that I handled it as well as I did. I mean, I usually have a pretty good approach to all that kind of stuff anyway, but yeah, like I walked out to go do a hike with my puppy, and it just like the truck wasn't where I thought I parked it, but it's in a parking garage. So I was like, I just parked it somewhere else. It's no big deal. But then I walked through every floor of the parking garage, even knowing there's no way I parked on the first floor or the fifth floor. But
let me check anyway.
And then it wasn't there. So I was like, I probably just parked in a reserve spot and it got towed. And then I called the tow company and they said that my no truck that was a Tacoma had been towed in like 3 to 6 months or something like that. And so then I obviously had to report it because I thought it was interesting because of COVID. The cop was like, is anybody hurt? And I was like, no. He's like, all right, well, we're not going to come out and physically investigate. Nobody was hurt. We'll just start looking for your truck. So the truck was missing for the 20 days that the insurance has like a period. If it gets recovered in that, then obviously they do a found theft claim versus a lost car or stolen car claim. But day 20 elapsed. The insurance company calls me. They say that they're gonna mark it as a total loss and then go through all the paperwork and all that kind of stuff. And then less than 24 hours later, I get a call from Denver police saying they found it. So I had to call the insurance back and say, hey, they found it. No money and no titles had been exchanged yet, so they reversed the claim.
Is the other claim better? From an insurance perspective?
From an insurance perspective, for them, a found theft claim is better.
Okay.
For me, not
you're the only one I care about. I don't like insurance companies. I've gone over that a lot in this podcast.
For me, the total loss would have been better, just because like you don't know what was done in or with the vehicle. Plus all the other damages. Like, it's never gonna be the same as it was before it got stolen, typically, at least from what I've heard. But and it's obviously a lot cheaper for the insurance company not to have to outright buy an entire truck. But yeah, so they the police said I needed to come down and look through the truck for any valuables or things that were in there that could have been stolen. So I went and start rummaging through the truck. They, like, everything that was in there, like I had like my snowboarding gear and all that kind of stuff. So all that stuff was obviously gone. They left the book, which was cool. I was worried about that.
I don't really. I mean, I imagine that they're not like big into reading.
Yeah,
they're gonna be jacking a truck, and especially what happened next.
Yeah, but yeah. So after I went through that, I was like rummaging around, and then I found needles that I was assuming were for heroin or some other type of drug. And then when it got towed to the body
those
shop,
were still in there. Like I guess the police
didn't touch anything inside.
Okay.
They literally just towed it and said, "Here's the key, go unlock it," type of situation. But
I mean, that's nice knowing that they're not just going to search it without your consent, because it's still technically your vehicle.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's also strange because it wasn't your vehicle for the prior 20 days.
Right.
So, but I don't know. I also don't know how law works. Like, what if they had found those needles and they accused you of being the owner?
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know.
That's so crazy. Like, what do you do at that point? No, it wasn't me. It was my friend.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it got stolen. Like, you could have claimed anything.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. But what I thought was interesting is, for one, they didn't look inside at all. So, like, they told me I had to find my license plate because it wasn't on the back. Because most of the time when a truck gets stolen or a car gets stolen, they swap out license plates, so it's harder to find.
So they were like, you have to find the license plate?
Yeah. And they're
what does that even mean?
I have to go through the vehicle to find the license plate, and if I can't find it, I have to go get a new license plate before I can take it from the lot.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So, okay, so when they say go find the license plate, it's not like a where's Waldo? Like, Waldo's definitely on this page.
Right.
It's you're probably going to have to spend a lot of time and money to figure out where this thing is at, because more than likely, if you're going to steal a car and take off a plate to put on some fake plates, you're not going to put the old plate anywhere near the vehicle.
Right, exactly.
So did you have to replace?
Well, I would have had to replace it, but since they towed it to a body shop right from the impound, I didn't have to worry about that. And then so when I went to the body shop, so I go over like any damages that weren't mine prior, and it was brand new, so nothing. It was like a brand new truck, so none of the damages were mine at all. But I told them about me finding needles in the back as well, and the guy was like, "All right, well, we're not going to touch it. Nobody in my shop's going to touch it until we do a drug test on it, because the residue from different types of drugs can seep out and make non-drug users very, very sick. So they brought these people out,
or non-drug users have a really, really good time.
Yeah, right. Man, I love driving to work now. But yeah, so they came out and did a test for methamphetamines on it, and it came back at 150 times the legal limit. So they had to total the truck. It's a Colorado law that if it comes back over a certain limit, they just have to total the vehicle.
Wow.
Because they can't clean it out.
Yeah. It's funny. I first read that text message, the 150 times, and I was like, dang, how much meth was in there? But then I thought, you know what? A little bit of meth is probably really illegal. So
yeah, exactly. So
So it probably wasn't, I don't know. I mean, it was obviously 150 times the illegal limit, but I don't know if there were like 4 thieves in there just like having a great time in this new truck that they didn't have to pay for. Then yeah, there probably was like a decent amount.
Yeah, a good amount of residue for sure.
Definitely enough to mess someone who has never done meth or anything like that before up pretty good.
Exactly.
I don't know. It's interesting.
It is. Yeah, it's very interesting. But yeah, it was definitely like a weird like up and down little roller coaster because I was like, oh, I don't have my truck. Oh, I found my truck. Oh,
oh, my truck is on drugs.
Yeah, my truck is high.
That's funny. And to kind of bring it all the way back around, almost just in time, we're going full circle. You messaged me because I was trying to get not a hold of you, but I was trying to see if you wanted to record this podcast prior.
Yeah.
But because you didn't have transportation, it was going to be difficult for you to get down here.
Right.
And I asked you if you had planned on replacing the truck or getting a new vehicle, and you said no. You're actually focusing on your student loans. You're going to start focusing on your student loans, and that's when I got the idea. Oh, you know what? I want to get him this book, and hopefully he'll be able to help. But not just that. One thing that I've always wanted to do, despite Dave Ramsey also preaching the idea of giving, is I want to start giving.
Yeah.
And so someday, man, I would also like to start helping you out with your student loans because of all of the wonderful things that you've done for me in the past.
No, I appreciate that.
And I don't want to make promises I can't keep. I definitely plan on doing that. And it's not a handout. It's not like me saying, "Hey, you need this help." It's just me kind of paying back my debts. That's also part of this. It's almost like an 11-step program trying to get debt free. You kind of have to accept like, oh, I've made some mistakes in the past and I have to get rid of that guilt. So this is kind of my way of not necessarily getting rid of guilt for my own selfish pleasure, but me wanting to show you that, yeah, there are people out there that are good people and they want to help the good people too. It's not always nice guy finish last kind of thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's truly like one of the most satisfying feelings to be able to like gift or help somebody out. I mean, I think especially you being having children of your own, like that selflessness that you experience, like having that is like completely rewarding. I don't think people realize it as much, especially like honestly, young males are probably some of the most selfish people on the planet, but like after they get past that phase, like the selflessness is so much more rewarding.
Yeah. Being a father is definitely interesting. We could record a whole podcast on that one for sure. I'm lucky enough, and I say lucky because I think that whether it be nature or nurture, there's some sort of desire that I have to want to be as good of a father as I possibly can be. And I feel like that might be like a playful desire. Like if there's anything that I could recommend doing with your children, it's just playing.
Yeah.
And obviously communication is key. There's a whole bunch of other things that are great factors as well. But if you can just play with your kids and focus more on the achievements and the playfulness rather than the punishments and the consequences and the working aspect, like you still want them to become good, diligent, hard workers, but you can do that with play as well.
Oh, totally.
So for example, actually, my son and I, and my daughter recently, she came back from Alaska she spent her whole summer in Alaska with her biological father, but she came back recently, and her and I have been doing it as well. We've been doing obstacle courses. I mean, you can see over there, I've got my wrestling mats and I've got all sorts of fun things that you can hit kids with and they'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially with all those stem cells, dude. Yeah. Just coursing through their blood. But I've got a whole bin of like cones and little things over there. I love setting up little obstacle courses.
Yeah, that's awesome.
At the top of that climbing rope, I put a key, and they get the key and they pretend to open a treasure chest, which is actually just a DeWalt drill bag. That's awesome. And inside I'll put like, some cars and stuff. But I love it, man. I think the number one goal as a parent is to just kind of be supportive and just hope that your kids, and I feel like it is, like, again, luck or hope or whatever. I just hope that your kids don't get sucked into some sort of situation where they feel like they have to hijack a Toyota Tacoma and then go get high with all their friends 150 times the amount of legal meth or whatever.
Oh yeah, exactly.
If you can do that, I feel like you're doing a pretty good job as a parent. And even if your kids are one of the unfortunate ones who do get sucked into that drug world, I've been to NA meetings before. It's obviously not easy. The addiction is
totally.
Everyone has some sort of addiction. But yeah, even if your kids do fall into that category, like, you don't want to give up on them.
No, never.
So it's an interesting world we live in. So, but
yeah, no, I totally agree.
You're going to be a great father, dude.
I hope so, man.
I was telling you today on the way here, I was like, I don't want to ever pressure you into having kids. If our kids are 18 years apart, I'm perfectly fine with that. As cool as it would be if they did grow up together.
Yeah.
I want you to experience what it's like to be a father at your own pace and when you're ready to do so.
Totally.
So.
Yeah, no, I mean, I look forward to it. It'll be several years for sure. But I even just like it's been pretty interesting. Recently I've met my girlfriend's family and a lot of her friends, and one of the comments that they've, like, both her parents and one of her friends made is they can tell I'm a very patient person and, like, loving person with the way I treat my puppy, like Remy.
Yeah.
So and, like, it's obviously very different than a kid, but it's the same type of thing where it's like they understand they don't know and they're exploring and testing boundaries, and they're not doing it to be malicious or anything like that. They just don't know. They're experiencing things, but
yeah, the parenting style that Kristen and I follow is basically that same thing. They have to know that the alpha, whether it be male or female, they have to know that the alphas, the parents in the relationship, are going to be strong enough to take them through difficult situations. And in order to do so, they have to figure out whether or not they can handle these really simple yet maybe difficult situations that they present to their parents. So by your dog, pissing on the floor just out of, like, some way of saying, hey, Colten, you're an asshole because you didn't walk me last night.
right.
Like, that's a test. And if you can handle that test in a good positive attitude, they're going to appreciate that more.
Yeah, totally.
But I've only been a dad for a few years. I don't really know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I just gotta do my best.
Yeah,
and I like to have fun.
Yeah, exactly. So. No, it's yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's obviously, like, really, really good parents out there, but from what I've heard from a lot of parents is you don't really know what you're doing most of the time. It's you're learning as you're going. You're learning by the feedback the kids are giving you, things like that. It's not like, oh, I know how to be a parent, I'm ready to be a parent.
Well, I doubt you wanted to come on this podcast to talk about being a dad, but we're actually getting to the point here soon where we can start wrapping up. Did you have anything in particular that you wanted to say before we get to the plugs?
No, I don't really think so. No, it's been a lot of fun, man.
Dude, I really enjoy this. I know it's strange asking a friend over to come, hey, you want to do my podcast with me, bro? I know that's really strange, but I find it very interesting the way that times are changing, and to be honest, I don't see this going away ever. Yeah. If anything, it's just going to keep going the same way it's been going since the spawning of the internet.
Right.
In the future, whether it's a podcast or a video channel or some sort of something recording our content or our communication, we're gonna have to at least get comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And not in a negative aspect, not like, oh yeah, NSA just track me all the time.
Right.
But in a way that we're open to communicating our ideas, not just intimately one-on-one, which is very important. Like, hey, dude, I have this, crazy foot fetish or whatever, whatever it is. But doing it so that you can get it out into the world, so that other people listening who may not have people around them that they feel comfortable communicating with can also absorb that and realize, oh, I'm not alone in this.
Right.
Especially when it comes to, like, drug addiction, and crazy things of that nature, Grand Theft Auto addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, doing a podcast is very strange, and I really appreciate you coming down here and doing this with me. And I always have a great time with you, no matter what we're doing.
No, me too.
This has just kind of been an excuse for me to go out and seek hanging out with my friends during a time where I feel like I don't have any time.
Yeah.
With the kids and with Kristen and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But I would absolutely love to do this again with you in the future.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm
I'm down for sure.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, there's so much more that we haven't even talked about.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about that one subject until we're like really comfortable, but yeah, we'll get to that point eventually. And I want to hear your perspective because that's one of my favorite parts about you. We're gonna leave you hanging on that one, though, audience. So. Yeah, did you have anything else you wanted to say or any plugs that you wanted to give?
No, I think I'm good, man. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah, let's go make some steak.
Yeah, let's do it. Oh, I'm hungry.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for listening. Keep grinding, keep playing, and I'll catch you at the next checkpoint. Bye. Thank you so much, dude. I'm going to give you a hug. A nice non-social distancing hug.